and this was their slogan: Raymac Surfside Sandwich Shop. Our prices are never spoil an appetite. For 85 cents, you could get a lobster sandwich, dessert, and a drink. At the beach, there was the Auxiliary Fire Department, which was formed in 1931 with Bill Raymond as a chief. There was a trailer there with a 40-gallon chemical tank and 100 feet of hose. On the top of the building, almost, there was a small siren, and when that siren wailed, all available people, young and old, ran to the store to help put the fire out or to give unwanted advice. The young people who summered here were active in the life of the beach. In 1920, a small paper called the Crescent Beach Chronicle was written by a young man with the help of others his age, including Pauline Raymond. The following was reported in this first edition. Mrs. Paul Smith of this vicinity, in driving her new Buick, neatly laid down 2 RFD mailboxes at the base of the uprights. No damage was done to the machine, and the lady was uninjured. It indeed was a first-class job. Now, there was another grocery store down here run by Fred Sherman and his wife. There was great deal of rivalry between Bill Sherman and, Fred Sherman and Bill Raymond.
Is that the house next door?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yep.
So that was, I thought that was
Okay.
Raymond Hall, they have candy.
As we drive up Angelica Avenue to Point Conic, we're going to pass by the Salt Pond, where Mr. Valentine, who lived on Angelica Point, escaped on the roof of his house during the '38 hurricane. He had rescued his mother-in-law just barely, his wife, and unbeknownst to him, an extra passenger. When the rooftop, after having been pushed off by wind and water, came to a stop in the brush beside Angelica Avenue, Mr. Valentine discovered a small mouse that crawled up his pant leg. Unfortunately, the mouse didn't make it.
I made that up.
No, it's supposed to be true story. That was from Carol Chase. Right, that's great salt pond. Okay, coming across the salt pond, also Mr. Guilford, when he entered the water, he was wearing a heavy suit, a hat, raincoat, boots, and on his nose a pair of glasses. He survived with just the hat on his head and the glasses on his nose. And the only thing that he lost was his boots and his socks. Angelica Point was wiped clean, but fortunately no lives were lost. But the funny thing was, Mattapoisett lost 8 people that day, which was more people than New Bedford did.
Angelica's right here on the right. All the sailboats are out there. It's like a Buzzards Bay regatta.
Remember now, Angelica Point was wiped clean in 1938, rebuilt, wiped again, and Strawberry Point. This should make it through the next one.
Hurricane of '38, and never completely cover the story. On this corner, which is the Raymond's building, it stood as it does today. There were 6 residents: Ruth Taylor, her 3 girls, Barbara, Jane, and Elizabeth, as well as Bill and Ethel Raymond, owners of the store. Both Ruth and Ethel noticed in the morning of the 21st of September that the sky had a strange yellow cast. Ruth noted later in her diary, by 4 p.m., the wind was blowing hard. The 2 older Taylor girls and Carol Merchant, their cousins, were playing on the beach. They watched the waves cresting and slamming into the beach. Becoming concerned, but not knowing why, they ran to the store. At 5 p.m., one could barely stand in the wind. The water was running up Beach Street, surrounding the cottages. Most of the people who were at the beach knew there was a problem, but they were unaware of what the problem was. Carol was sent home. The creek at Angelica Avenue, which we stopped at before, was overflowing. When she returned to the store, her grandmother quickly sent her home again. By this time, the water was over the road thigh high. She waded back through the water and saw from the corner of her eye a small black shed being demolished by the waves. She ran home quickly as possible, the rain pushing her along. When she reported to her parents what she had seen, they were unconcerned. They lived around the corner on Prospect Road, and it didn't show anything there. We were unable to see either beach with the water rising. or they were unable to. Also, they had seen the creek overflow many times. Why worry? It was not until 6 p.m. when Dr. Tisdale and his wife, residents of the beach, came crashing through the woods, banged on the merchant's door. They told the horror story of the beach disappearing and that they were running for their lives from the approaching water. Bill Merchant ran out the door to the bend in the road. He couldn't get through because a large summer home was blocking the road. They climbed on the roof, and all they could see was a glimmer of light from the north, which would have meant the town. There was nothing left to see down here. Gathering his family, he sent them up the road to George Henshaw's, and then he and George pushed their way through the woods looking for the Raymond family. At 5:40, at the Raymond store, the water had filled the cellar, the floor had started to buckle. Ethel and the girls were taken off the house through the windows. And a rowboat had gone by, thank goodness, and they put them in the rowboat. And fortunately, they pushed the girls home in that rowboat. Then they ran for Lilbourne Hillis Farm, highest point of land. The full impact of the storm hit at 6 p.m. The following morning, the National Guard found the beach a tangled mass of broken homes as far back as Angelica Avenue. Survivors had all found shelter in farmhouses of Lilbourne Pillar, the original owner of the beach property. An elderly woman, Mother Brown, was found alive under the debris of Angelica Avenue. Bill Merchant, George Henshaw, after pushing through the woods, found everyone at the farmhouse. They returned home. With the exception of 2 rental properties back from the beach, the Raymonds lost everything. The Shermans, whose store survived, through the wood, gave them wood, food, and any animosity between the 2 stores, the Raymonds and the Shermans, was then over. At Crescent Beach, 8 lives were lost that day. 2 more hurricanes devastated the area. The 45-54 proved to be more than Bill Raymond could handle. He retired soon after.
Okay, on the right-hand side, just back there, that's the old Stagecoach Road. That goes back up and winds around and connects to Route 6 again. Yeah.
What the?
That was the road over there, the old Stagecoach Road.
That laneway right up, actually.
That was before Route 6 was...
You want to back up a little bit? Can you back up a little bit more? Someone asked us, are you still able to walk to Marion on it? I'm not sure. Can you see?
Kind of come behind you.
Ah, that's all right. That's all right. But that's the road anyway. You'll see a little dirt path going on.
So how far does it go?
Well, one time it went right to Marion.
It actually goes on to Onset and Plymouth.
Really?
Yeah, I think it connected back to where Route 6 is today. But that was the line going.
Are you allowed to walk safe or something?
Now it's a stagecoach.
Yep.
But the trolley didn't go.
No, the trolley. Oh, good. Maybe we'll show it to you.
Something along down the rest of
The trolley went up